Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Governor.
Good day, mate.
Welcome back, everyone.
A new week, a new day. I gotta stop the accent.
Day.
Scrumptious. You're truly scrumptious. Truly scrumptious.
Who's scrumptious?
Truly scrumptious.
Who is?
Truly scrumptious.
Is that a name?
Yes.
Okay,
Chitty Chitty
my
Bang
name
Bang.
is Truly Scrumptious.
Her name is truly scrumptious. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
It's been a minute. I won't lie to you.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I love you. Hi, hello. Anywhere we go. Oh.
You enjoying yourself?
And I'm out of musicals.
I love
Anywhere we go. Oh, I can't after Anywhere We Go. I don't know.
I gave you what I have. That is
Isn't
my contribution to the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
there like the king?
I literally
does,
I remember
like-
the car, and that is all I remember.
They go to some foreign place and there's like this pompous king who loves toys, but no children are allowed in the land, right?
No idea.
Oh, my teddy bear, together we're an ookie pookie ookie wookie pair. Someone's laughing.
I'm really starting to question whether I've even seen this movie. And I'm pretty sure I have.
It is one of my favorites, and it is probably one of the few musicals I know the majority of the lyrics to. That and Mary Poppins. Dick Van Dyke.
I mean, you don't know The Greatest Showman.
Haven't seen it. I know. I've heard it's great. It's just I haven't seen
This is the greatest show.
I gotta see it. I've seen
Zac
some
Efron?
of the. Sorry,
Zendaya?
I'm pretty sure there's a couple scenes that someone had me watch.
Me?
Was it you or was it
Probably.
Marcy? Marcy's obsessed with it. She loves Hugh
May
Jackman.
have been
Love. Anyway.
Welcome back, everyone.
Episode 30.
Last week we talked about
You
Capet and the Capetian.
Yep. He started off a new line, and today we're talking about his son, Robert II.
Yes.
But a bit of a recap for Hugh. He was elected king and brought in the very next dynasty, the House of Capet. And even though his competitor totally sided with him originally, he then changed his mind, and there was a whole...
Changey-upsies.
He went backseas on his wordsies. What did you call it? A fair weather friend?
Fair weather friend.
It makes a lot more sense than what I was attempting to say. He was also visited by a saint in his sleep that said his line would reign forever.
He said 7 generations.
Well, it's kind of like forever, and he kind of still has people reigning.
Also interpreted as forever.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about his son, Robert II of France, who was born on March 27th of 972.
March 29th. So close to my birthday.
27th.
Still very close. Different day.
Just flop it around.
In case you didn't know, my birthday is March 28th.
He was also known as Robert the Pious, Robert le Pieux, or the Wise, le Sage.
Likely for his 30-year-long reign. 35-year.
35-year-long reign.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he obviously, we talked about last episode, he was born to Hugh Capet and his one. He only had one.
He only had one.
Yeah. And his wife, Hedwig. No, Hedwig was his mom.
Mm.
Adelaide.
Adelaide.
That's a name.
I love that name.
Adelaide and Adeline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good names.
Good. You may remember from last week that Robert was a co-king with his dad, crowned the same year, but in December of 987. And he was co-kings until his father's death in 996. And he inherited all of West Francia.
So it was a bit of a battle for Hugh Capet, if you remember. Did we talk about that last episode?
Yeah.
To get him named as co-king. They didn't want co-kings, but even though it was kind of like a battle the whole time, it actually kind of shows how successful he was in...
How smart of a move it was, because he was trying to tell the bishop. The bishop said, no, we don't need to. And he said, oh, but I might die while on this escapade in Spain. And so the bishop kind of gave in and said, yeah, okay, we'll crown your son. And then he never went. Some
right.
people
So even though
speculate it was just a strategy.
Yeah. But, confirmed when Hugh Capet did die, no one disputed his succession. And then he ruled for 35 years.
Yep.
So
I think the 35 years was included with his co-king leadership.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anywho.
He was devoutly Catholic.
He was.
He was musically inclined. A composer. A chorister. And a poet.
Yeah.
I did not know what a chorister was. It is a member of the choir, especially a child or young person singing the treble part of a church choir. That might be a current day
When they're
version.
younger, they have higher voice.
Makes sense.
Or maybe it's
Puberty.
opposite.
Or maybe it's new.
Anyway, he actually had
he had
treble's usually, yeah. You said treble? What'd you call him?
treble.
Treble.
Here
yeah.
comes Treble, the office.
You need a office punishment for sure.
I need so many punishments.
Yeah. Treble is usually the like the melodic line or the higher part. So my guess is yes. When they're younger, they have higher voices because they've not hit puberty yet.
Well, it also definitely shows that he was really into the church stuff from a young age. So when he did become king, he hosted all the church things in his royal robes in his palace. So if there was something that he could do, he tried to do it. He had very, very little patience for heretics and was a very harsh punisher.
Actually reinstated a previously quote unquote outlawed
Practice.
custom of burning heretics.
I
I don't know why we did away with that. I think it's an adequate punishment.
think it's a good call. We should definitely do this. And you know who he specifically called heretics were the Jews. Yikes.
Can't
Catch a break. Yeah. So specifically, there's a sect in Orleans, and they were accused of conspiring to destroy the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem.
Where is it?
Oh, it's in yellow.
Sepulchre.
Yeah, that one. Sure. And for that is why he brought back the whole burning at the stake thing, based on like a rumor.
Rumor of what?
That they were going to go burn the church. I don't know.
Get them before they get you kind of thing.
Yeah. So again, harsh punisher.
Yeah. Conversely, though he was very devout, he had a bit of a dramatic love life.
Yeah, he did.
He married his father's choice. So Hugh Capet picked Rosala from where? Italy. So Hugh Capet picked her, wasn't a big fan. So once Dad died, he had the marriage annulled.
Yep.
And then he picked a woman named Bertha and married her. But actually, Bertha was his second cousin. And so Pope Gregory was like, nah, son. Like, no, come on. And basically, like, said this marriage is not legitimate. So they were married for a while. They had some kids, but they were all considered illegitimate.
Yeah. They had to get
or
annulled.
No, they just had one son. Sorry, this one he just had one son, stillborn. But their marriage eventually ended up getting annulled because the Pope would not legitimize it.
Right. So he really, Rosala over here on YouTube is our first image. She is from Italy. And our second image is Bertha, his second cousin.
/second wife.
/second wife. She likes the number 2. She's a looker.
Clearly. That is very detailed, accurate.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So finally around 1001, we've broken into the quadruple digits.
Whoa!
He married Constance of Aries, whom he was married to until he died.
Mm-hmm.
And they had quite a number of children. Hedvig, again, which I do not have to suffer punishment for. Why would I have to suffer punishment for it?
You have to reference the thing. If you say the name, it's just saying the name. But if you reference the thing, you get in trouble.
Did you just write a poem?
Yeah. We need to put that down in punishment lore. No, I'm tiptoeing my way around that. If you don't know what we're talking about, please go back to episode 29.
Yes,
I
please.
refuse
It means
to discuss
you skipped
it.
29.
Yeah, if you don't know, you skipped an episode.
Yeah. Okay, so Hedvig, wouldn't think it's a woman's name.
His,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I wouldn't
Female.
think it's a woman's name.
female.
Really?
Yes.
No.
Mhm.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Hers are used in reference to.
I Google it. Okay, second child, Hugh Magnus, who did end up being co-king with him at one point. Henry I, who succeeded him. Adela is a countess. Robert, Odo or Eudes, and Constance. Lots of babies.
So a little bit of expansion on his marriage with Constance. Depicted here with her head kind of looking a little down. So when he first married her,
Like bad posture.
You'll know more why in the next slide. So at the time, he was about 29 years old when he married her. Note his first marriage that didn't last very long because his dad set it up and she was a lot older. He was 17 when they married, and that marriage lasted for like 7 years. So his first divorce was 24.
Annulment.
I'm sorry. And then his second marriage, happened within those 5 years because by the time he's 29, he's getting married again to Constance. And she brought a whole entourage to the palace with her. And one of Robert's buddies urged him to kind of get rid of her because she was no good. But then that guy turned up murdered. Ooh, Robert tried to have the marriage annulled. He went down to see the Pope, pleaded.
She was very ambitious.
Pleaded with the Pope. And the Pope said, you've had 3 chances to get this marriage thing right. I'm not going to annul it again.
You're stuck with this one, buddy.
So they stayed together and had kids. Mm-hmm. Yep. So obviously, Louis, this pious king, had very few friends and a whole lot of enemies.
I think you might mean Robert.
Did I say Louis?
You said Louis.
At least I said Louis. Okay, so Robert, this pious king of ours.
There was a Louis the Pious.
There was. This pious king of ours made few friends and a whole lot more
When you start
enemies.
burning people disappear.
Mm-hmm. I do find it interesting that he still has this wise title, even though he brought back this cruel punishment. All right.
And actually, a few of the sons we mentioned earlier, he was at war with them most of his career. Like, so someone who's at war with their family,
children.
Yeah, and yet they end up with pious and wise.
It's so strange.
I could come up with some better nicknames.
Seriously.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The Flamed.
The Flamer.
Robert the Flamethrower the second.
Robert the Flame. What was funny is how excited you got about it.
It's so bad. I can't title
Lord
anything.
Almighty. We didn't come up with Royal Malarkey.
Nope.
We do not take credit for that one.
Thank you, friend.
Okay.
So amongst his enemies were his sons, Robert, Henry, and Hugh. And they all went to civil war together. And this would be the end of Robert because his armies lost the battle. He was completely defeated and he had to run tails back to his palace where he promptly dies.
Yes. So he died in 1031, assuming some kind of hunting accident.
No, it was the army.
He was a joke. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I failed.
Yeah, no,
he was the hunted.
He was the hunted.
Full circle.
I feel like we've made that joke before, haven't we?
Probably with the wolf.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but he did die during the wars with his sons, essentially.
Yeah. Technically, his sons killed him in a way. So our picture of his wife, where she looked all...
bad posture.
She's all sad. And her face is all... she's actually handing over the keys to the kingdom to her sons.
Like,
fine.
Our plan worked.
Fine. We can't burn anybody anymore.
Darn it.
Dang it. But as Caitlin said, she was super ambitious, which is why she had the one dude murdered.
Yep. So, in the midst of all this, he did actually hand keys over to his sons, despite their disputes. So, in 1017, Hugh Magnus did become a junior king. And Hugh Magnus, his son, actually died in 1026 during the wars. And so then Henry I became junior king in 1027. And then obviously he then becomes senior king when Robert II dies. 31.
So Robert's dad, Hugh Capet, actually set up such a good system to have this like mini king going on because nobody disputes it. To Caitlin's point earlier, it's just an easy line of succession, which has been the problem with the Merovingians and then the Carolingians and now
with the Salic law where it gets split up.
Yeah. So now that Capetians have learned Capetians have learned a thing or two from the mess ups of their ancestors. It seems like he took the advice of himself and
he took his own advice. Gosh, I'm smart enough.
I'm so smart. I'm just going to keep arguing my point until I get what I want. I'm king, dang it.
Listen to me.
Anyway, that's all I've got on him.
Yep, he died 1031. Henry I. You like how I just slipped out of that accent. Yeah, you did. 1031. Henry I becomes senior king, and we will talk about him
next week.
Yeek.
Yep. Now for your relevant tidbit. Medieval parenting advice. This week we're discussing a father's advice from medievallist.net by Danielle Kubelski. And Caitlin is going to tell us all about it, per usual.
Per usual. What may be surprising in the father's advice to the son is that marrying a good woman who is poor is better than marrying a rich woman. That her possessions are not her true value as a wife. We need to re-up that thought process,
right?
I think. While the nobility had many arranged marriages in order to distribute or amass wealth, this advice suggests that money can't buy you love, and love is important to a good marriage.
Can't buy me love.
Can't buy me love.
Where's that from?
Don't know. It would be going too far to say that this is a modern take on the spousal relationship, since the father admits that the wife is part servant and part fellow.
I definitely read that serpent. And then you said servant.
Definitely says serpent.
Vent. I read serpent.
Yes, I understood that the first time. You should hear some of the conversations we have. We argued about file names the other day, and I'm like,
oh my God.
Here's what I see. Here's what I see. Oh, I realized my drive didn't sync. Yeah, but it doesn't say this. I know. I think it's just the drive didn't sync. Should I wait? I don't feel like you're understanding that I'm saying that the drive didn't sync. Let me just try to get the drive to sync, and then we'll be on the same page. Anywho. Still, the father says explicitly, beat not thy wife, because it will only make her hate you. This is very true still today.
Very true. Have you seen Outlander?
Well,
She was not on board with the beating. Remember, she got in trouble and he had to give her a spanking.
Yeah.
And she was furious.
Hell no. Likewise, the son should not put her down, but treat her fairly. This is not the same as the rule of thumb type relationship we often hear moderns assume that medieval people had. While much of this advice is frozen in a cultural moment, there are bits of advice that will be completely familiar to us. Go to bed early and get up early. Be kind and generous. And remember that many hands make light work. Like us, I'm sure that our ancestors took some of that advice and ignored other parts of it as they made their way through their lives. As readers, we can look at texts like these and find both good advice to live by and an interesting portrait of the hopes of parents past. And if we haven't already mentioned it, this is written by Danielle Cebulski. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. You can find her on Twitter at 5-Minute Medievalist, author of Life in Medieval Europe, Fact and Fiction, and host of the Medieval Podcast, Professional Nerd.
I included that because that's like her Twitter intro, and I loved the end.
I just want to be very, very clear that none of that was written by us, and all credit goes to her.
110%.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
You can find us at royalmalarkey.com. Please check out our
Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
You can find us at YouTube on Aversion TV Network, where you are hopefully watching us right now.
Please hit the subscribe button, and leave us a comment.
If you would like to discuss further book names with us, that'd be great. If you'd like to comment on my Chitty Chitty Bang Bang songs, you are welcome to finish the lyrics for me.
Yeah.
And what is Can't Buy Me Love from? You know, just
Buy me love,
an assortment of things that we could look up ourselves, but we're asking you, the listener, to help us out with.
Yes, please. We'll be back next week with Henry I. Please don't forget our little check-in on episode 28.
Yeah.
We will be getting ready to make some big changes.
Yep.
So please stay tuned on what we'll be doing since Clarissa went and ruined everything and got pregnant.
Yay! All right. Love you guys. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Bye.